on this spring-like day, especially after the weather we've been having. It's a joy while it lasts, because I don't think it's going to last very long. So, we're going to get started a little bit behind schedule already, but that's okay. We have a wonderful speaker for you today. We have some musical interludes in the meantime, in between time. So I don't see any children yet, but maybe they'll be coming in, and so we'll ship them off. Okay, we'll ship them off one. We'll ship him, her, or whoever off to the children's class later on. But right now we're going to get started with devotions. We have some opening prayers and readings. And I think those of you who are assigned, who have been given some prayers and readings, you have your order. So without further ado, let us begin.
Amen. مفرجا غير الله قل سبحان الله والله كل عباد له وكل بأمره آمين. Is there any remover of difficulties save God? Say praise to God, He is God. All are His servants, and all abide by His bidding.
Create in me a pure heart, O my God, and renew a tranquil conscience within me, O my hope. Through the Spirit of power, confirm thou me in thy cause, O my best beloved, and by the light of thy glory, reveal unto me thy path, O thou the goal of my desire. Through the power of thy transcendent might, lift me up unto the heaven of thy holiness, O source of my being, and by the breezes of thine eternity gladden me, O thou who art my God. Let thine everlasting melodies breathe tranquility on me, O my companion, and let the riches of thine ancient countenance deliver me from all except thee, O my master, and let the tidings of the revelation of thine incorruptible essence bring me joy, O thou who art the most manifest of the manifest and the most hidden of the hidden. Baha'u'llah.
O my Lord, my beloved, my desire, befriend me in my loneliness and accompany me in my exile. Remove my sorrow, cause me to be devoted to thy beauty. Withdraw me from all else save thee. Attract me through thy fragrances of holiness. Cause me to be associated in thy kingdom with those who are severed from all else save thee, who long to serve thy sacred threshold and who stand to work in thy cause. Enable me to be one of thy maidservants who have attained to thy good pleasure. Verily, thou art the gracious, the generous, Abdullah.
O God, educate these children. These children are the plants of thine orchard, the flowers of thy meadow, the roses of thy garden. Let thy rain fall upon them. Let the sun of reality shine upon them with thy love. Let thy breeze refresh them, in order that they may be trained, grow and develop, and appear in the utmost beauty. Thou art the giver, thou art the compassionate. Abdullah.
Glory be unto thee, O God, for thy manifestation of love to mankind. O thou who art our life and light, guide thy servants in thy way, and make us rich in thee and free from all save thee. O God, teach us thy oneness, and give us a realization of thy unity, that we may see no one save thee. Thou art the merciful and the giver of bounty. O God, create in the hearts of thy beloved the fire of thy love, that it consume the thought of everything save thee. Reveal to us, O God, thine exalted eternity, that thou hast ever been and wilt ever be, and that there is no God save thee. Verily, in thee will we find comfort and strength. Baha'u'llah.
O thou kind Lord, O thou who art generous and merciful, we are servants of thy threshold, and are gathered beneath the sheltering shadows of thy divine unity. The sun of thy mercy is shining upon all. The clouds of thy bounty shower upon all. Thy gifts encompass all. Thy loving providence sustain all. Thy protection overshadoweth all, and the glances of thy favor are cast upon all. O Lord, grant thine infinite bestowal, and let the light of thy guidance shine. Illumine the eyes, gladden the hearts with abiding joy. Confer a new spirit upon all people, and bestow upon them eternal life. Unlock the gates of true understanding, and let the light of faith shine resplendent. Gather all people beneath the shadows of thy bounty, and cause them to unite in harmony, so that they may become as the rays of one sun, as the waves of one ocean, and as the fruit of one tree. May they drink from the same fountain. May they be refreshed by the same breeze. May they receive illumination from the same source of light. Thou art the giver, the merciful, the omnipotent. Abdullah.
Right, and now some quotations from the writings of the Baha'i Faith. Beautify your tongues, O people, with truthfulness, and adorn your souls with the ornament of honesty. Beware, O people, that ye deal not treacherously with anyone. Be ye the trustees of God amongst his creatures, and the emblems of his generosity amidst his people. They that follow their lusts and corrupt inclinations have erred and dissipated in their efforts. They indeed are of the lost. Strive, O people, that your eyes may be directed towards the mercy of God, that your hearts may be attuned to his wondrous remembrance, that your souls may rest confidently upon his grace and bounty, that your feet may tread the path of his good pleasure. Such are the counsels which I bequeath unto you. Would that ye might follow my counsels.
Consort with all men, O people of Baha, in a spirit of friendliness and fellowship. If ye be aware of a certain truth, if ye possess a jewel of which others are deprived, share it with them in a language of utmost kindliness and goodwill. If it be accepted, if it fulfill its purpose, your object is attained. If anyone should refuse it, leave him unto himself, and beseech God to guide him. Beware, lest ye deal unkindly with him. A kindly tongue is the lodestone of the hearts of men. It is the bread of the Spirit. It clotheth the words with meaning. It is the fountain of the light of wisdom and understanding. Gleanings from the writings of Baha'u'llah.
The virtues and attributes pertaining unto God are all evident and manifest, and have been mentioned and described in all the heavenly books. Among them are trustworthiness, truthfulness, purity of heart while communing with God, forbearance, resignation to whatever the Almighty had decreed, contentment with the things his will had provided, patience, nay, thankfulness, in the midst of tribulation, and complete reliance in all circumstances upon him. These rank, according to the estimate of God, among the highest and most laudable of all things. All other acts are and will ever remain secondary and subordinate unto them. Gleanings from the writings of Baha'u'llah.
Unlock, O people, the gates of the hearts of men with the keys of the remembrance of him who is the remembrance of God and the source of wisdom amongst you. He hath chosen out of the whole world the hearts of his servants and made them each a seat for the revelation of glory. Wherefore, sanctify them from every defilement, that the things for which they were created may be engraven upon them. This indeed is a token of God's bountiful favor.
Thank you, readers, for those wonderful prayers and meditations. And in our faith, we have special prayers for special occasions. One of the prayers that Baha'u'llah revealed begins with people are encircled with pain and calamities, and that's certainly true today. Seems to be especially true today in many aspects. And so we want to remember those people, whether we know them personally or not, and those who are close to us, for healing. And the healing prayers in Baha'i faith are for spiritual healing as well as physical healing. So keep them in your minds and thoughts as we hear a healing prayer.
Thy name is my healing, oh my God, and remembrance of thee is my remedy. Nearness to thee is my hope, and love for thee is my companion. Thy mercy to me is my healing, and my succor in both this world and the world to come. Thou verily art the all-bountiful, the all-knowing, the all-wise, the all-knowing, the all-wise, Baha'u'llah.
Okay. Well, now we're going to have some musical selections from Ms. Audrey Kemp, and hopefully we can prevail upon her following later on after the program for some more. But let's welcome her now to the stage.
Sing in tune with the divine will includes sharing your heart, your thoughts, those things we've learned from him through his messengers. It's also important to be consistent, because Sunday morning's a good thing. But it takes practice, and sometimes we're a little rusty. Different situations, new situations. Places we've never been before. humidity, barometric pressure.
Exciting speaker today. He's no stranger to the Baha'i Center. He's been here several times. And Iraj Khodadoost has been very active in the community, especially the greater community, dealing with people of other faiths, and been active in interfaith activities for a number of years now, and I think some over 20 years perhaps. But more recently, he's been particularly involved with the Unity Church, Unity North in Marietta area. But at any rate, he wants to share with us some ideas and thoughts about the faith and its interaction and individuals' interactions with people of other faiths, adopting a place of worship, and affiliating and with people of other faiths in a spirit of fellowship and concord. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome to speak with you Mr. Iraj Khodadoost.
Good morning. Good morning. Allah, Paul. I'm short, so I bring it down here. Before I share with you my remarks, let me begin by sharing a couple of passages from the Holy Writings, from the writings of Baha'u'llah, on the topic of associating with people of all faiths. This is from Tablets of Baha'u'llah, a tablet called Glad Tidings, and in these glad tidings, the tablet's name is Bisharat actually. Baha'u'llah says this is the second glad tiding. He says, it is permitted that the peoples and kindreds of the world associate with one another with joy and radiance. O people, consort with the followers of all religions in a spirit of friendship and fellowship. Thus hath the day star of his sanction and authority shone forth above the horizon of the decree of God, the Lord of the worlds. Did any word or any passage or sentence from this writing kind of surprised you? He said, it is permitted that the peoples and kindreds of the world associate with one another with joy and radiance. It seemed like previously it was not. For many years it was not. There were some group were called the chosen people, and we are the chosen people. We need to do away with the other groups, right? Or it got a little better, and in later revelations, they said that we from this faith, that particular faith, are brethren, or from one another. But the others are outsiders, right? So that's why Baha'u'llah says it's permitted. So in this dispensation, once and for all, it is our responsibility, our duty, right, to associate with people of all faiths. That's a commandment from Baha'u'llah. And then in another tablet called Tarazat, Baha'u'llah says, they that are endued with sincerity and faithfulness should associate with all the peoples and kindreds of the earth with joy and radiance, inasmuch as consorting with people hath promoted and will continue to promote unity and concord, which in turn are conducive to the maintenance of order in the world and to the regeneration of nations. Blessed are such as hold fast to the cord of kindness and tender mercy and are free from animosity and hatred. So again, he says, if we want really to bring unity and oneness to the world, we must associate with all people, right? So this is our commandment, which is emphasized over and over again. And of course, we probably all remember this important passage where Baha'u'llah says, this is the changeless faith of God. Right? Eternal in the past, eternal in the future. And then he says, you deny one, you deny them all. So again, he emphasizes that for us as Baha'is, all religions are really one religion, revealed to humanity through time, progressively revealed, right? As we understood more, he told us more. As we understood more, he told us more. And he tells us, as one of the passages that one of our friends here read, let me read that one more time. We all heard it, but let's hear it again. Consort with all men, O people of Baha, in a spirit of friendliness and fellowship. If ye be aware of a certain truth, if ye possess a jewel of which others are deprived, share it with them in a language of utmost kindness and goodwill. If it be accepted, if it fulfill its purpose, your object is attained. If anyone should refuse it, leave him unto himself, and beseech God to guide him. Beware lest ye deal unkindly with him. A kindly tongue is the lodestone of the hearts of men. It is the bread of the Spirit. It clotheth the words with meaning. It is the fountain of the light of wisdom and understanding. So again, it is our duty, our responsibility. But here, in this passage, he told us something more. We as Baha'is do not proselytize, right? That is the only way. Come this way, otherwise you go to hell. This and that, right? We don't do that kind of stuff. We share the message with utmost kindness and love. If they accept, fine. If not, we leave it alone. You know, there are many progressive churches and organizations which are proactive. And by this proactive, then they go and demonstrate, right? But then some of them demonstrate in a confrontational manner, right? We don't do it this way. We share with love and kindness. If they accept, fine. If they not, we leave it alone. At some point, God will help us, and we'll help them, right? We need to do our job. We also remember the first principle, the first teaching of the Baha'i faith is independent search for truth. That's why we do not impose our thoughts. We only share, right? And in sharing, we also tell them that you and everyone is the son and daughter of God, the same God. So we ask them to search for themselves. That's why proselytizing in that sense is actually forbidden in the Baha'i faith. We do not proselytize, right? We just share these thoughts. So with all of this said, all the important holy writings shared, I'd like to share with you some updates on the path that I have tread in the past 20, 30 years, in general, in the last 5 years in particular, which means putting these thoughts into practice. I'm doing my best to put these thoughts into practice. And by practice, I mean that I need to go to different synagogues and mosques and churches and sit there reverently, and if asked, share some of the Baha'i thoughts, right? Because this is all part of the same truth, right? That everyone is in a different path, and it's all part of the same truth. And so love them, be with them, appreciate them, because they're all worshiping the same God, the same truth. And then practice it. Practice the oneness of humanity. Practice the oneness of religion. So I've been more on this path in the past 5 years than I was even before that time period, the past 20, 25 years. So a few exciting things happened that I shared with Vincent, and Deborah maybe. And so I'm going to share that exciting thing with you. One of these churches that I have been associating with is the Unity Church. Some of you are familiar with Unity. And this one is called Unity North on Sandy Plains Road. And their wonderful, beautiful Reverend minister is Reverend Richard Burdick. I saw him actually a couple of days ago, and he says that, are you going to any Baha'i Center for a talk? I said, yeah, this Sunday I'm going to a Baha'i Center. And he said, what are you going to talk about? I said, I'm going to talk about you. So he may see this video, and we'll be talking about Reverend Richard Burdick and his beautiful church, Unity North on Sandy Plains Road. So I've known him for about 5 years. I've spoken maybe 7, 8 times at this church. One time I said that your church and your principles are so similar to Baha'i ideals in terms of harmony of science and religion, oneness of humanity, oneness of the essence of all faiths. They all consider them as part of their faith as well. They actually have posters from all religions on the wall. Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, Islam, Christianity, trying to teach the congregation they're all chapters of the same book, like Baha'is. They also had a huge poster on the wall saying that one God, many paths. So I really bonded with this group and tried to associate more and more with them. And as I got to know them and the minister and the loving congregation, they invited me a few times to talk about the Baha'i faith. And so we really bonded. And last time that I spoke in that church was actually last August. And he called me and said that it's your turn now again, and still come and do the service for our Sunday. So it's just basically their service. And he's also one of those preachers that doesn't wear a cloak or any of that kind of stuff. And he's just a regular person who comes and talks. And he says, I'd love other people to come and talk. And it not be always me talking. So I invited me to talk, but then 1 week before that date, he called me and said that, why don't we do it together? He wanted it to be a joint sermon. So that he would say something, I would say something, I would share. And actually 2 sermons, they have 2 sermons, one at 9:15, the other one at 11:15. So both times. So I practiced the first session, I got better at the second session. And so he would say something from the Bible, and their up-to-date Bible is Unity, which they had. Their leader was Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who began this denomination, if you could call it denomination, actually in 1893, the year that Baha'i faith was introduced to the U.S., the year that we had the first Baha'i in the U.S., 1893. So that's why their principles are very much closer to the Baha'is. One Baha'i friend said that, this isn't right. They're taking our principles and they call it their prayer principles and so on and so forth. And my response was, this is the spirit of the age. You should be happy that they're talking about harmony of science and religion. You should be happy that they're talking about search for truth, oneness of mankind, oneness of the essence of all faiths. You should be happy about that. Now, this was our principle. Why are they talking about it? So much the better. Anyway, I'm following up with the story. Now, this was last August when we had the joint sermon comparing the teachings of Christianity, the teachings of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, and then the teachings of the Baha'i faith. And so it was a wonderful, loving conversation. Then, shortly thereafter, every time I saw Reverend Richard, sometimes you go to lunch, sometimes go to his office, sometimes I go to their Wednesday devotional. They have kind of a Wednesday devotional. He would always come back and say something. And that's something that he told me in a loving manner, in a loving, concerned manner, was this. Why are Baha'is secretive? I said, Baha'is are not secretive. He So I seldom see any Baha'is or hear about any Baha'is anywhere. In the past 7-8 years that I've been here, or previous to that, I've seldom hear about the Baha'i faith. Okay, I would tell him a few things, our history, our background, what we do, the classes that we have, and so on. But apparently he wasn't convinced. Next time around, I said that Baha'is seem to be kind of reclusive. They don't come and share the teachings of Baha'u'llah with humanity. This is one man's perception. One man is open-minded, but his perception is that we're not open enough in sharing our thoughts. Is there any truth to that? Is there any truth to that?
Allah. Yes.
There's some truth to that. So you agree with Reverend Richard? I'll tell him that. You agree with Reverend Richard. And what he was telling me, and he keeps telling me, he says, the same way that you come to our church, ask these Baha'i friends to go to all different churches, different synagogues, different mosques. Talk to people, talk about the teachings of Baha'u'llah, the oneness of the humankind, the oneness of the essence of religion. You must go out and do it. So this is the message which is coming from Reverend Richard that I'm sharing with my Baha'i friends, which is what Baha'u'llah is telling us, right? We must associate with people of all faiths in a spirit of amity and concord. Otherwise, it's just a few of us sharing it with ourselves, the way he thinks of it, in a reclusive manner or in a secretive manner. We have to go out everywhere. That's what the faith wants from us. That's what Abdul Baha did. That's what Shoghi Effendi, the guardian of the faith, planned all his life. The different plans that we had, particularly the 10-year crusade. Then he told us, get out of your homes, go to different countries, go to different villages across Africa, across Asia, and America, and Europe, everywhere, and share the message of Baha'u'llah. So this was what he was saying. So I left it alone. When I wrote him a letter explaining our history, our teachings, the way we try to do it, and that we are a few and we are learning and we'll do our best. So I thought that's the end of it as far as Reverend Richard is concerned. But no, by Centennial King, he came a couple times to our house with his wife and a few others. Invited him to a couple of our devotionals and our holiday celebrations. And this wonderful man sent me a heartfelt email on January 2nd, just one day after the New Year, like the 2nd or 3rd. And see what he said in that. That's what I really want to share with you. He said, Iraj, I have a plan. He said, I have a plan. Okay, what is the plan? He says, I want a huge Baha'i conference in my church. He says, I want a huge Baha'i conference in my church. I want all Baha'is in Atlanta to come to my church and associate with the people of unity. As I said, they have a huge banner on one God, many paths, and they really believe in that and they try to practice it. And he hasn't seen much of Baha'is, and that's what he is. So that's an invitation. And he gave a date. I want the weekend, the last weekend of September, which is September 28th, 29th, and 30th. Make a note of it. To be the Baha'i conference in my church with all the Baha'is of Greater Atlanta to come and show up. And for us to really associate. And he says, the whole weekend of Friday and Saturday and Sunday is yours. You guys plan it, and I'll come and observe. Okay? Okay, we'll do our best. We'll do our best. Then you send a follow-up email and saying that this is the way I think it should be done. Okay. So I am Benson working on it now. I want a committee of 10 members, 5 Baha'is and 5 from Unity. So we want a committee. We are working on the committee now. To meet for at least 6 months, every week, to share thoughts and ideas of Baha'u'llah's teachings and unity teachings and how we can really unify and cooperate. So he wants us to go there for 6 months, every week, at least 5 Baha'is and 5 from Unity, to plan for this great event at the end of September. Okay, so that's part 1. And part 2, 2 months before the event, he says, he has planned it in his mind in this way. 2 months before the event, I want you to publicize all across Atlanta about this conference of Unity and Baha'is coming together to practice love and unity. 2 months before the event. So that's part 2. Part 3, I want 1 month before the event for Baha'is to have a class introduction to the Baha'i faith in my church. Every week to totally plan it and to introduce it the best you can. And then hold the event on September 28th, 29th, and 30th. All I could do, I just wept. I received this email from this man that I've known for 5 years, associated with him. And that's what he said. So this is what Baha'u'llah told us, that if you Baha'is, if us Baha'is, don't do it.
He would raise up the...
Say it.
I'm paraphrasing, but as he was talking,
He would raise up.
thinking. He would raise up...
No, others.
Yeah,
It was
he
called
would
others.
raise up others.
Others to do it for us. That is the spirit of the age. There are thousands or millions of people who are walking on the path of Baha'u'llah because that's the spirit of the age. Some know it, and many don't know it. Abbas says it in SMR's, what's the name of his book? Baha'u'llah in the New Era. I think it's page 180, 181. That he says, there are many who may have called themselves Baha'is for 50 years. But they may not understand what Baha'i faith is all about. And there are many who have not even heard of the word Baha'u'llah, but they understand the message of Baha'u'llah because this is the message of God for this age. Right? So we are aware of it. We want to do something about it. And that's what we can do. So that even made me more excited what this gentleman is saying. With the help of our counselor, our executive board members, we are setting up this committee of how to approach it, how to do it, and how can I say it? How to really do it in a solemn, beautiful, and befitting manner, because we have to do it. We are not talking about the word of Baha'u'llah and Baha'i faith. We have to do it in that fashion. And so pray for us and pray for each other in order for this thing to really take off beautifully. And every one of you, in any community that you are, please promote it and make a note of those dates, September 28th, 29th, and 30th, to bring it about. Let's see. We have already had a class, by the way, for the leadership, a 6-hour class on the essentials of the Baha'i faith for the leadership of the church. It was last year, or 18 months ago, something like that. And so all of the board of directors and a number of others came, and we had that class already. Also, one of the first things that I did maybe 3-4 years ago, that's what I did in the first church that I was so excited that they're so close to the Baha'i faith. I presented them with a framed poster of our house of worship in Chicago. And so the minister hangs it in the front of his office, our Baha'i house of worship. And so in their church, I made a presentation for the community that our Baha'i houses of worship have 9 sides, representing the 9 major religions of the world. And the idea is, and Baha'u'llah wants us to build these kind of house of worship in every town and every city. And so I made that presentation and gave that poster, and the minister himself, he held it up. It's taped. My friend here taped it, held it up, and then put it in front of his office. And the idea, I said, is that come through any door, worship in any manner that you want, pick up any holy book that you want, and just read it, and come together. That's the idea. So what else have we done with this wonderful church? So this is, of course, one of many churches that I associate with, but this is one that bore this beautiful fruit right after the bicentennial on January 2nd or 3rd of this year, and we're working on it. And along those lines. So let me just open it up now for a little dialogue and discussion of your challenges, the things that you do, the things that you want us to do together, collectively, or separately, or whatever. So, any other thoughts or ideas that you'd like to share? I know that my friend there is very much active in interfaith activities, so we'd like to say that. So whoever likes it.
I just want to ask you, you mentioned that Baha'is don't
pressure.
Well, don't pressure, but they also don't seem to associate with people of faith that as much as would be expected. And I think there's an element of, I don't know what, fear maybe about that.
Right.
And so perhaps if you can share some of the challenges that you had in your 20 years of associating with religion, and maybe that would kind of help settle them a bit,
Thank you so much for this wonderful question, comment. What are the challenges when you start associating with people of all faiths? What helped me most was going back to the talks of Al-Baha, Promulgation of Universal Peace. And many times, for many years, before each Sunday that I went to any of these churches, I just read one of the talks of Al-Baha. He says, look at me, follow me, be as I am, Al-Baha, right? He gives us everything we need to know. Which means not only we don't pressure, not only we don't talk loud or talk at people, we just be normal in sharing the message of God. That's the message of God with humanity. And not only not pressuring, and that's I wrote to my Facebook page with regard to this friend of mine, Richard, the minister of Unity North. I said maybe the reason why he doesn't wear the cloak and he doesn't speak loud at his congregation, he talks very normal. Maybe the reason for this is that he does not, that's the way I put it. He said that Richard does not talk about unbelievables. And because he believes in the idea of harmony of science and religion. Therefore, he doesn't need to shout. That's the way I got it. And that's the way different churches, I see that there's some preachers really shout and really want you to believe, for example, that Jesus went up to heaven and after 3 days he came back and this and that, or things of that nature that we as Baha'is say that these are allegories to the higher truth or other truths, and we should not take them literally. And I noticed that he never talks about those things because he also believes that they do not make sense logically and scientifically. So some of these churches have come to that realization. Or the world was made in 6 days and God rested the seventh day, or such and such lived to be 950 years old. And so all of them have deeper meanings, right? That Baha'u'llah has explained, many of them in the Book of Certitude. When he says that Hud lived to be 950 years old, what does it mean? The duration of the manifestation of Prophet Hud, the effectiveness of his teachings was 950 years. Not that he lived to be 950 years. So anyway, going back again to the question, when I started reading Abdu'l-Baha, when I started reading Abdu'l-Baha's talking to some of the ministers, like Portal to Freedom, what's his name? Howard Kobe Ives, the minister who became Baha'i. How did Abdu'l-Baha talk to him? He sat down and listened to him. He didn't even talk to him. He loved him, he hugged him, he sat down and listened to him. Many times I've seen some of my Baha'i friends who come, and I've even spoken to some of those churches. We become so excited that we don't listen. We just talk. And that's not good either. We have to go to many places. We have to sit down. We have to know them. We have to go out for lunch with them. We have to love them. And then as occasion arises, we have to talk to them. So I want to, that reminds me of another kind of a little different experience. And that is the experience that I had with a minister of another church, whom I love and revere, but I'd never invited them to any of our interfaith gatherings. And so I called him and I said, such as so-and-so. And by the way, he's one of those gentle, beautiful souls who has helped many Baha'i refugees who have come to this country, himself. And so I called him and I said that we have an interfaith group, people of different faiths get together, and once a month we would love for you to come and join us. And he thought about it. He has known me for 2-3 years. He said, no, thank you. And then he says, because I know you all go to hell. So that's that extreme. But then the thing to remember is that what would Abdu'l-Baha do? I said, fine, and I said, goodbye, we'll see you. Then I called him back a couple of days later, after I reflected and prayed about it. And I said, would you come and have lunch with me? And he thought about it and said, yes, I'll come have lunch. So we went out for lunch. I listened to Abdu'l-Baha again. I went back to Portals of Freedom. How Abdu'l-Baha did not talk but listen. Can I really behave myself? It's hard for me. My wife says you can't behave. You just keep talking. I said, I will really behave myself. I won't say anything. To the extent possible, I will say nothing. And I'll just listen. We went to lunch. It was 1 o'clock. So all the customers had left. It was 3 o'clock. The man kept talking. He was talking about his love for Jesus, his love for his faith, his love for service to humanity, and kept talking. It was past 3 o'clock. I had invited him for lunch. It was past 3 o'clock, and he said, oh, I have an appointment at 4 o'clock, so I have to leave. But I enjoyed it so much, I have to pay for lunch. So he paid for lunch. So I had invited, but he says, no, I enjoyed it so much, I have. So we have to become better listeners as well. Please share some more thoughts.
In a conversation that we've had a while ago, when you were asked, Reverend Burdock, when he brought up the subject, why we aren't, I totally get it on the listening, but he's actually asking us why we're not even talking about it more. And in our conversation, if you remember, it's like we need to practice between us, because my fear, just like you were using the fear, is these are highly, deep and educated people in all different subjects. And to bring up something in Christianity or another faith, how does the Baha'i faith? We ourselves have to really be learning and talking between us. How do you, and there is that fine line between listening and then knowing when to kind of talk about the Baha'i faith and how maybe that's a little,
Right,
like
right.
you were saying, taking, especially the Bible, it's not different, it's just taking it to a different level of understanding of something.
Yeah, but by listening, of course, Abdul Baha meant, I think, and what I was trying to say is that we first need to listen and see what the needs are, what the questions are, and then gradually and succinctly and lovingly respond. That's of course what we have to do one time. And then also, as you point out, we need to deepen. We need to deepen on the virtues of the faith in order to see how we should respond. And there is nothing wrong with saying that I don't know the answer. Let me look it up, or let me ask a friend, and then next time we come, we'll talk about that subject.
Or study it together. Like, let's find the materials and
Or study it together, or find out together. And also, but at the same time, we need to be cognizant of the needs. It needs to be gradual, but then it needs to be also truthful. I have a Baha'i friend who I think had the misperception that because we want to be gentle and kind, then if they have some prejudices against women even, a particular denomination or group, or have some prejudices, we won't talk about it, and we'll try to accommodate it. So if they wear a veil, my wife should also wear a veil because this man is the kind of believer who would be offended if your wife doesn't wear a veil, or things of that nature. No, we will stand up for our truth, but then gradually, kindly, gently, and don't appease prejudice and superstitions in order to satisfy their needs. In that sense, I think. What are some other thoughts?
You talk about the needs of the age, and the spirit of the age.
Yeah.
In the 1860s, there was a song that emerged from a particular choir, and perhaps you've heard it.
Yeah.
'Cause it takes all of my time to praise my Savior. You guys know this one? All of my time to praise my Lord. If I don't praise Him, the rocks are gonna cry out. Glory and honor, glory and honor. And it goes on to talk about, the privilege of the individual to participate in the flow of the revelation, of the unfoldment of God's kingdom. And one of the things that I notice, and I do it too, I catch myself with my children, because sometimes I want them to think I'm just cool, but sometimes I'm not cool, or by their standards I'm not cool, which is a very worldly standard, I have to say. Public school, the media, and so forth, we're sort of arguing with that unseen, hidden from our eyes, lack of light. The little cathode ray in the TV screen is not the source of light, right? So if we are tapped in to the source of light, I know I have to be careful not to hide my exuberance, because Abdul Baha says, not only do you need language that is crystal clear, not only do you need the facts and the history, and the willingness to listen and engage and become friends, but also it's the light and the joy reflected in your face. And I'm like, sometimes, and I grew up this way too, because I watched TV, and I was like, I'm trying to be too cool in front of my kids, or in front of the neighbor who's like, what is that? Who are those Baha'is? And I'm like, well, you ever get your shoulders up like that when you're talking about the faith? And it's like, shake that off, because God is in you.
Yes.
Let Him shine. It's not me. It's just getting out of my own way. Getting out of the way, let God do the talking. And then we study. We just keep studying every day. Just the habit, And then just let God have them, because they're not ours.
It's not-
Their hearts belong to Him.
And that's also another very important thing, that Baha'u'llah wants from us total humility, total submission. It is His word. It is His teachings. And we're just the vehicle to share. You know, we've had some examples, fortunately not many, examples of Baha'is who were very prominent, very knowledgeable, but at some point they became arrogant. They thought that they know this stuff, so they're the ones who are teaching. And Baha'u'llah immediately puts a stop to that kind of attitude. No, we don't want any part of you. If you're the one who are pretending to be Baha'u'llah or God, no. We are all servants on His path. And we all know that Baha'u'llah calls the seventh valley is the valley of total, nothingness, absolute poverty and total nothingness. If we can reach that level of total humility, then we have reached God. Otherwise, we have a long way to go. And in that respect, Baha'u'llah says for some of us, it may take a second. And for others, hundreds of thousands of years to get there. So we're all on that path. And we have to pray and hope that we would pass this path quickly, as quickly as possible, so that we can be of service to Him. I haven't heard anything from friends of this side. So anyone else likes to share?
I'm not sure exactly of the date, but I think the year is around 2014, the House of Justice message that says that the people that are going to break forth this message of Baha'u'llah and to spread it to the people are the ones that have not even heard of Baha'u'llah yet. So, you know, and when the minister asked, you know, why are the Baha'is being so secretive, you know, why are they not sharing this message, you know, that makes me think, you know, we are sometimes, for given reasons, different reasons, you know, a little quiet, a little scared to step out there. You know, we've been having a teaching campaign in this area for the last week. You know, just across the street, and there's so many people over there never heard of the Baha'i faith. So it makes us look at ourselves like, what are we doing that these people this close still have not heard of who Baha'u'llah is? You know, so it's something to really think about.
Wonderful things. Yeah, there's so many. You know, still, any neighborhood that you go, I don't know, 70, 80, 90% that we have not even heard of the word Baha'i. You know. So it's our job to do it, as you said.
I find myself, you know, there's passages in the Baha'i faith about talking man of two visions, and that there is an idea of phasing of perspective, for lack of a better word. In other words, going from one perspective to another and back to another perspective, so you don't get hooked or caught up in that particular frame, whether it's the frame of our social, our environment today, or an historic point of reference. The reason why what I'm trying to set up for you is that these comments, are valid and things that are a call to action. At the same time, I also want you to be heartened by the fact that, friends, at this time in Christianity, the Gospel of Mark has just been written. Historically speaking, from the revelation of Baha'u'llah to now, if you were to use that time frame for you compare it to Christianity, just the first gospel has been written in this time. So, I'm saying that not so that you might take heart and say, it's a different time, but it's also, it's to say, there might be something here,
Right.
you know.
Thank you so much. And we're all teaching in our own ways. You know, just going to work. Somebody asks you, who are you? I'm a Baha'i. And then it puts us in the framework that I have to behave even better because now I'm representing Baha'u'llah and all of that. So we're all trying and we're all doing it in different ways. And it's good that many people are doing it in different ways and not one particular way. There's not one particular way. Thank you for that comment. Any last comment? Anyone? Thank you so much for having me with you today.
Thank you.
I want to thank Mr. Khodadoost for those words of insight, wisdom, and for your service. And 2 points that you made, I think, in response to the question that I posed, are valid not just for teaching the faith, but it's valid for our day-to-day activities with anybody. One is you've got to listen, and as an example is, how many times have you found yourself being introduced in particular to someone new, and you don't really hear what they're saying, you may not remember their name because you're too busy thinking about what you're going to say next. Okay, I mean, it's human nature, I guess you might say, and sometimes you feel, you beat yourself up for doing that, but they're in the same position. They have things they want to say, and they may not be listening to you. Okay, and I read long ago that if you want to teach anybody or get yourself across to anybody, I think this came about at one point in time. I wanted to do some sales. Okay, and one of the things they teach you in sales is to get to know your customer first. Let them talk. Okay, but there are lessons in various genre that teach you that, even in the Bible, I think we'll talk about the analogy of pouring new wine over skin and so forth can be used in many different ways. But one way to look at it is you can't fill a glass if it's already full. Okay, so you have to let that glass empty before you can fill it up. And the way you do that in personal relationship is to listen to the other person. They got something on their mind. They got something they want to tell you, or they just want to get something off their chest. Let them empty themselves. And when they empty themselves, they'll be more prepared to hear you. Okay. And like I said, that's a valuable lesson in any action you have with anybody, not just religious, but in any context, in your own family or whatever. And what was the other point you mentioned? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just got something from what you were saying. The concept of psychological mirroring. When you mirror someone, you can say what they just said in your own words. That's very validating for people when they feel heard. And when you're the one who hears them, you immediately come up in their perception of your value. Maybe, and I'm not a Baha'i, I'm just the first stages of learning about the Baha'i religion. And I was thinking, well, how would I do that if I were expected in the end of September to merge with this new community and maybe to get some people from the outside to learn about my religion as Baha'u'llah is commanding. I think that one thing that would really help the Baha'i is for each person practice the mirroring technique so that they know that they're not talking to a bunch of strangers who just want you to be like me. Mm-hmm. So this is one.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the mirroring technique, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it has to do with repeating back what someone has said to you, just to make sure that you are hearing them correctly. They may say, yes, that's it, or no, that's not quite it, and change it. But so it does two things. It helps you to understand better what they're saying, but it also helps them to realize that you are really listening, that
Right,
and they really care about what you're saying.
And then that could be a point where you say, it seems to me as though your faith says this, and then Baha'u'llah, our leader, or however you describe him, Baha'u'llah says this. So there could be a little bit of increase in appreciation of the Baha'i. You know, not just a stagnant conversation in which you mirror them, but also to introduce something in a very self-worthy way, not the proselytation that you were talking about, but to mirror for them also the sense that the Baha'i do raise others up to an equal position. And you yourself could do that on an individual basis, first by mirroring and then by proudly saying, well, this is what we believe. But as soon as they get your vibe, that you're not over them, but you're just saying, well, you believe this and I honor that, and we believe this. You know, that's a little bit of influx of maybe fresh air.
And it's affirming.
Yeah.
It's affirming what they're saying that Baha'u'llah said.
Yeah.
Something on that subject, so you're connecting them even.
Right.
Sorry.
I just wanted to say that, and in that context, we must try to see the point of commonality, to confirm a common theme of what that person said, rather than say that, no, that's what you believe, but that's what we believe.
Yeah.
That would be the turnoff. At the end of it.
Right.
We need to make the connection, and then from that connection come to the whole oneness. And also, Abba always told us we need to see God in every face, in every one, because we are all made in the image of God.
And the other point that you mentioned that I think is also just as valid in our interpersonal conversations and dealing with other people is that it's okay to say, I don't know. You know, if you talk about any kind of subject and you think you have something to share with them, but then they bring up a point that you don't know about or you're not certain about, it's okay to say, I don't know. You don't have to be an expert. But today, especially with so many technological, internet and libraries and so forth that we have today, we can always do some research and say, okay, well, I'll research that. I'll look it up and get back to you and continue the conversation then. So, anyway, thank you very much. We got quite a bit out there. Yes, okay. Right now, we have a chance for some for announcements. Anybody have any announcements to make? Want to share with us? Yeah? Okay. Right. If not, I want to share a couple that was given to me earlier. And we have some flyers. I think we left some other flyers. It's two-sided, actually. And one has to do with Soul Food Sunday Presents, a community forum for youth in collaboration with, and I don't see who is collaboration with, but I guess it means Thomas Robinson here. Oh, killing is whack. Anyway, this is on Sunday, March the 18th of this year, from 2 to 4. It's going to be here, and it is several sponsors here. But I'll let you look at the flyer. But this is about youth, and it says contact Thomas at his phone number, or go to killingiswhack at or email killingiswhack@gmail.com, and it's a free event. So this is for our youth, a community forum for youth, and something else for youth is. On the back side is the Royal Falcons Youth Empowerment Program. And it says, join us in unity. Again, it's here. And this is ongoing, has been ongoing for a while. And this is at various times, I guess, but some of the things they are getting involved with are the performing arts, acting class on Monday and Saturday. There's community gardening every Saturday. Then there's culinary arts, academic enrichment, character development, community service, and more. And the theme is building a better community. I think some of the things may, like I said, already on the way. Other things are maybe being planned for the future. But it's called Royal Falcons Youth Empowerment Program. And so the same contact number is given for both. So be sure to pick up a flyer here or over here. And here are a couple more. So any other announcements at this time? Well, if not, perhaps we can persuade Audrey to come up and give us another musical interlude before we dismiss.
You're going to have a closing prayer?
After.
Okay. Do you guys hear the
Air conditioning.
the air conditioner? Do you hear it?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Do you taste the air? Do you feel the air move? Do you hear the swoosh outside as the cars are moving things around outside us? There's a lot of communication from our environment, from the gravity under our feet to the pressure of our bodies against the floor. And we were talking about tuning in earlier. Being able to find out what subtleties we can bring or be aware of in a relationship. One of the things that I noticed growing up, being outside all afternoon, was being thirsty. But we're thirsty for a lot of things. Oh God, refresh and gladden. Oh God, refresh and gladden my spirit. Purify my heart. Illumine my powers. I lay all my affairs in thy hand. Thou art my guide and my refuge. Will no longer be sorrowful and grieved. Will be a happy and joyful being. Oh God, will no longer be full of anxiety. Nor will I let trouble harass me. Will not dwell on the unpleasant things of life. Oh God, thou art more friend to me than I am to myself. I dedicate myself to thee. Dedicate myself to thee. Dedicate myself to thee, oh Lord, oh Lord. I
prayer, I'd like to give anyone here who's visiting a chance to stand up and introduce yourselves. If you're here for the first time or here for the first time in a long time, whether you're Baha'i or not, please stand at this time and introduce yourselves, and I'd like to give you a big welcome. We'll start over here.
I've never been here before, and thank you. Good luck on your congregation, Unity North. I have a feeling that you're going to have to change your paradigm, because I also have not ever heard of the Baha'i. I just stumbled on it through a friend of a friend, and I tend to agree with the person who said, maybe your paradigm is to keep your faith to yourself. I agree with that, because that's been my impression also. I never heard of Baha'u'llah before, I don't know, a year ago, and that was just a little bit like wafting on the wind. And for you to change your paradigm, you're going to need, in my opinion, to change the way you look at the world. And that may be more difficult than you first think. It may require looking toward the world as maybe a little different than you're doing now. So it may be a little bit more different from what you think. Anyway, I'm encouraging you to talk about that a lot in your own community, because you're going to need some preparation for this September thing. So more power to you. Yay.
Your name and your Cherokee County.
Oh, my name is Diane Maxwell, and I live in Cobb County, but about a block away from Cherokee County. Thank you for letting me come and share in your worship. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Over here.
Hi, my name is Lisa, and this is, I want to say, my second time ever coming here, and I was actually introduced by Ms. Martha Norman when I first came here the last time. So thank you guys for having me here today.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Hi, my name is Tammy Brooks. I am the oldest daughter of Martha Norman. And through my mom and her search, I got to learn about Baha'u'llah early on. So it's just a matter of me making the decision to become a part of the Baha'i faith. And I think I'm almost there. I think I'm almost there. I'm right there. And so every time that I've come, I think this is my third time, Mom? Yeah. Third time coming to the Baha'i Center. And I really love the way that you all just welcome everybody and make everybody just feel, welcome. And I appreciate that. And I thank you. And, by the way, did I say my name was Tamara Brooks? I think I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. And do you have anything to add, or would you like to say anything? Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, because most of the time when I talk, people can't understand what I'm saying. I had 3 strokes, and it affected my feet real bad.
Well, I understand you pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have people who are in similar situations. So welcome to all of you then. And would someone would like to offer a closing prayer? Anyone?
Somebody else?
Like,
O God, my God. O my God, unite the hearts of thy servants and reveal to them thy great purpose. May they follow thy commandments and abide in thy law. Help them, O God, in their endeavor, and grant them strength to serve thee. O God, leave them not to themselves, but guide their steps by the light of thy knowledge, and cheer their hearts by thy love. Verily, thou art their helper and their Lord.
Okay, well, thank you again, everyone, and please stay and mingle for a while. I believe we have some refreshments back in the hospitality area, and adjacent to that is the bookstore. Yes, ma'am. Okay, yeah, bookstore is right through this door. Hospitality is through this door, but they really are next to each other in the back. So please, I'm sorry. You have something? Oh, okay, yeah. And for the Baha'is, also located in the bookstore is a fund box. And the fund box is for Baha'is only. For those of you who are not Baha'i, your presence here today is your gift to us. You cannot accept your monetary contributions, but otherwise, feel free to, for the Baha'is to visit the fund box as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.